Welcome to the Business of Dance podcast, where you'll learn what it takes to create your dream professional dance career.
Join us as we dive into the insights and experiences of the world's top dance industry professionals, including dancers, choreographers, agents, casting directors, educators, and other dance industry experts.
We explore a diverse range of topics, from personal development and mental skills to audition techniques, creating meaningful industry connections, social media marketing, seeking out dance agents and casting opportunities, on-the-job etiquette, talent unions, pitching to the media, health, finances, and so much more.
Here is your host, Menina Fortunato.
I'm so excited for today's guest, guys. I don't think you understand who we are speaking to today, but you will. I'm sure we're going to learn a lot. She is the visionary, the co-owner of McDonald, Selznick and Associates, which you may know as MSA. She's literally the M of MSA. She's a trailblazer in the dance and choreography representation. In 1985, she launched her very first talent agency devoted exclusively to dance, setting a new standard for advocacy, professionalism, and artistic excellence in the industry. She has championed fair terms and improved working conditions for dancers and choreographers, tirelessly promoting the visibility and integrity of commercial dance. In 2000, she joined forces with Tony Selznick to co-found MSA, which today represents a roster of award-winning talent, clients that have earned Emmys and Tony Awards and MTV Movie Awards, and also working on creative teams behind Broadway hits, Vegas spectaculars, films, dramas, sitcoms, award shows, and list goes on. She's also the co-creator of the American Choreography Awards that was around from 1994 to 2004. And her pioneering work has been recognized with Lifetime Achievement Awards with both the Choreographers Carnival and McCallum's Choreography Festival. And I believe her agency is celebrating their 25th anniversary, literally just a few days ago. Without further ado, please help me welcome Julie McDonald. Welcome, Julie.
Hi, everybody.
So excited.
Good morning. I'm happy to be here. Thank you, Menina, for having me. I'm really honored.
Yes, I'm honored to have you because you are literally the first dance agent in our industry, and you're a pioneer. I mean, none of us would be here today and being able to do what we do and work in the industry if it weren't for you. Like, you really have opened the floodgates for all of us. So I would like to start before your life of being an agent. I want to know the backstory of how you even got involved in dance. What did that look like? And then what led you to eventually starting your first agency?
Okay.
The short version.
Thank you. Thank you for saying the short version. I was raised in Seattle, Washington, and I studied ballet seriously. And I loved it. And I think I was pretty good at it. I just loved it so much. So when you love something, that's the most important thing, is to find something you love to do. So my family moved to Los Angeles when I was 15 years old. And that's a very difficult age to leave your previous life. I found that it was a very difficult move for me to leave my life in Seattle, mostly to leave my friends. You know how important your friends are when you're that age. They mean everything to you. So it was a very difficult transition. I did start to take classes again in the San Fernando Valley so I could resume my ballet, but I wasn't taking it that seriously. I went to high school. I went to college. I continued to study dance, but again, I've had a lot of other interests that I mostly creating a social life for myself and new friends and all of that. I started to study modern dance, contemporary dance, and I found that was more suited to me than ballet. I realized I was probably not going to be a professional ballet dancer. That is a life for very, very few people who are willing to sacrifice everything else for dance. And did not want to do that. But I started to study modern dance and I really enjoyed it. And I got into two very small modern dance companies. I went to college for 2 years and then I got invited to travel the country with the dance company. And I decided to leave college to join this dance company and tour the country and have a different kind of an education, which I loved. And I stayed with this one company for 8 years. And then I moved on to another small dance company where the entire technique was based in Martha Graham technique, which I found the most invaluable technique to learn. And unfortunately, I don't think that very many people teach that anymore unless you're in New York, or maybe it's taught in colleges still. I'm not sure. You all would probably be able to tell me more than that. But I found that the most invaluable technique for so many reasons. I just love the structure of it, the structure and the beauty. So I did that for a few years. And then way back before you guys were even a glimpse in your parents' eyes, I opened up a dance studio in Venice, California, with two other women friends. We opened it in 1976, and it was a groundbreaking, innovative studio. The name of the studio was Room to Move. It was situated in the original Venice Post Office, which is beautiful 1920s building. I was married at the time and I lived in the back with my husband, and we built this dance studio in the front. In those days, you either had the choice of going to a very strict ballet studio to study dance or to a gym. There wasn't anything in between. There wasn't anything for people who just wanted to dance, like I call them closet dancers, people who always wanted to dance, but didn't know where to go, where it would be, welcoming and fun and not too stringent and too rigid in terms of technique. So the two women that I joined forces with, we designed a class called Movement Technique. And it was 3 different disciplines, which were dance, exercise, and yoga. And we hired a lot of interesting teachers, and they could all do their own versions of that class. It wasn't a strict structure, but as long as they incorporated those 3 elements, they could develop their own class. The studio became first of all, the studio was beautiful. We made it beautiful and welcoming. We had maple tongue and groove hardwood floors that we built, wall back-to-back mirrors to reflect the images. The place really had no room to move, even though it was called Room to Move. It was quite small, but it was at a time where no one was really going to Venice. It was before the roller skaters invaded. But for some reason, we started to draw all kinds of people, professional dancers, and mostly non-professional dancers, but people who always wanted to dance. So it turned out to be such a fun place. And we got written up in a lot of major magazines like Vogue and Elle and everybody. And all these people started to come, like Jane Fonda came to our classes before she started her empire. Yeah, we inspired people because we were not rigid in our approach. We wanted people to enjoy the joys of dance without having to stick to, a balletic structure or a modern dance structure. The teachers we hired had their own style. And so people could kind of choose who they wanted to follow. And some of them took from all of us and some of them just followed 1 or 2 people. But the great thing about that was I had people there who are still my close friends, and some are still my clients today.
Wow.
The teacher that had the most influence and the most impact was a gentleman named Russell Clark, who passed away many years ago, sadly, way too young, but he was so unique. He was this unbelievably gorgeous African-American man with blonde hair, and nobody looked like him. He looked like a creature from we called him the rubber band man. He had he had no bones in his body, and he drew such a huge following. Every Saturday he had, drummers, and he would do this African class we opened up the doors and people would stand outside and watch. And so he became a star. You may not know these people, but Billy Goodson taught at our studio, and he did something that no one had ever done before. He taught disco classes, and that was really, really, really special. We had a woman who taught karate. So we had all these additional to our movement technique classes. We had all these specialized classes. We actually have a group of friends called the Mums, and they are a group of jugglers and tightrope walkers and circus performers. And because we were so close to the beach, they would teach a class on the beach, tightrope walking. So we had all these wonderful things happening at that studio. And it was, I would say for me, it was probably the most joyful time of my life. And mostly, I would say, because of the people that I met there. And one of the cool things, one boy I see here, and thank you for being a dance student, was that we attracted all sorts of guys. Guys sometimes come to class to meet girls, and we had lawyers there, we had doctors there, we had all sorts of cool guys they weren't afraid to be in our class. They weren't intimidated to take class with us. And one of them actually fell so in love with dance that he never stopped studying, and he started working with a local ballet company and performed in their Nutcracker every year. And
wow.
He was a big attorney, but he found his joy in dance. So Room to Move was a very joyful, beautiful experience. So that is my life. Prior, we closed the studio in 1982. All of a sudden, dance started to become the kind of thing that we were doing of like Jane Fonda opened her place, and a place down the street, Main Street Dance Studio, which was a lot bigger, opened up. So we had competition, which we didn't really mind, but we weren't very good businesswomen. Let me put it that way. We were kind of lousy at running a business. So we shut our business after 6 years in 1982, and we closed on a high note. And it was very, very, very rewarding, the whole thing. So that was in 82. So I had 83, 84 to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. It was a very difficult time. I have to say, I personally had a difficult time. I got divorced, and I really was at loss. I felt like I had to make a living. So I did everything. I watered plants for people. I worked in my friend's clothing factory and painted handmade clothes. I had a lot of different jobs. And in doing all these different jobs, I learned a lot, and mostly what I learned was that, I'm going to have to take care of myself all on my own. It was a very daunting proposal, actually. I wasn't good at business, and I was just a little lost. And to be 100% forward, I actually didn't have a place to live. And so I was house sitting for everybody. And so I was halfway living out of my car and halfway living at other people's residences, taking care of their animals, and I would say I wasn't even that unhappy doing all that. I just was at a loss, and I didn't know what to do. So I heard somewhere about this seminar called Impact. And Impact was a seminar for people who wanted to be in the entertainment business, but they didn't quite know, what they wanted to do. But what led me to doing that was I was still dancing a little bit professionally, and I was doing a commercial, and I blew my knee out real bad. I had a horrible knee injury. Let me just go back a second, because although we closed our studio, I continued to teach at 2 other studios in town. One of the things I learned from my studio was that because you're a good dancer doesn't make you a good teacher. So when I opened up my studio, I was all of a sudden thrown into a teaching position. And that was so hard for me to learn how to be a good teacher. So I would say it took me over a year of building up a following of people and learning how to teach beginners. I was okay at teaching people my own level, but I wasn't very good at teaching non-dancers and teaching beginners. That was hard too, but I ended up, because I did it over and over again. Sometimes I only had 2 people in my class or 3 people in my class. It didn't matter. That's how I learned how to be a good teacher. I learned how to communicate to beginners and then intermediate and advanced. So that was a great learning experience. But so then moving forward, after I had this knee injury, so I couldn't teach anymore. So what was I going to do? So I heard about this seminar called Impact. And Impact was a seminar designed for people who wanted to be in show business, but they didn't know quite what they wanted to do. And it was a 3-week seminar, and it cost a lot of money at that point. So I borrowed money from my mother, and she told me that was the last money she was going to ever give me. That because I was relying on her a little bit to help me through those rough years. And she said, I am not giving you any more money. You need to figure out your life. And I wasn't young. I was already early 30s. So I did this seminar, and it was a boot camp, 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. every day. Wow. If you were a minute late, those doors were locked. And I was driving from Malibu at the time, and it was in Hollywood. So I got up at 4 every morning, and it was Monday through Thursday, 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. And the first week was devoted to trying to figure out what you wanted to do. So I had this idea that I was and I was not working in the commercial world. I came from the modern dance world, so I didn't know that much about commercial Hollywood, even though a lot of my friends from the studio were professional dancers. So I knew a little bit, but I didn't play in that world. So I said, I'm going to either be a talent manager for dancers, casting director for dancers, or an agent for dancers. So my first week was figuring out the difference between all those 3 positions, okay? And you worked in groups. And why was it from 5 a.m. to 8 a.m., you may ask? Because they wanted you from 8 a.m. to the rest of the day to go and start to work on getting your goal. So no rest. It was no excuses. 3 weeks to figure out what you wanted to do and try to do it. I think it's the best thing I ever did, because I ended up as an agent.
It was that intensive, that ignited.
It was intensive. That was really intense.
Well, yeah, it sounds like it. But it lit a fire under your butt to clearly.
Well, I honestly, Menina, I felt like I didn't have a choice. I felt like if I didn't figure out my life then, I didn't know what was going to happen to me.
There's so much beauty in that. I mean, I think sometimes when your back is against the wall, it's a fight or flight. And that's what you did. You made a quick
I figured out that a manager didn't make sense. Casting director didn't make sense. So I'll be an agent. So I spent 2 weeks going to every agency in Hollywood, asking them could I start a dance department at their agency? And this was the beginning of the advent of music videos. So dance was really getting hot again. So people were not uninterested. I got the same offer from about 5 or 6 people, which is, sure, you can come in and you can start a dance department, and we'll give you a desk, we'll give you a phone, and we won't pay you, but we'll give you a percentage of everything you bring in. So there I was with no one offering me a salary, just a percentage of everything that I brought in. And I was like, wait, no one's going to pay me. So I realized that I wasn't going to get a paid position to start. So then I decided, well, I just have to go to the best agency I can. And thank goodness one of the women in my group at Impact introduced me to her agent at Joseph Held Von and Ricks. Her name was Sandy Joseph. And she said, same thing, sure, you can come in, we'll give you a phone, we'll give you a desk. And because there was no internet, there were no computers. Can you imagine in your brains? Can you even imagine? No, it's hard to imagine, but it's true. And we'll give you a desk, we'll give you a phone, and we'll give you 50% of everything you make. So it was the best agency I went to. So I decided to go there. So I went home. They gave me a date to come in on a Monday. I had to go shopping to buy work clothes. All I had was dance clothes. I had to go to a department store and buy work outfits. Things were different then. You actually had to dress more business-like. You had to dress very
We're more
business
casual today than, yeah.
You know, you had to wear like suits and skirts and business suits. Not, you had to. That was just the way it was. So I showed up for work and they went, "Oh, you're here. Where are we going to put her?" So they gave me a teeny little desk in the children's department. So there I was, my first day at my job. I went, "Oh, what am I going to do?" So I decided to put an ad in the trades. They have Variety and Hollywood Reporter. These were newspapers that everybody in the industry read. There was no internet. And I put a teeny little ad this big in the paper saying, "Wanted dancers for representation." And I booked Debbie Reynolds' studio, which is no longer in existence. That was the place to be. And it was like the dance studio. And I booked a room and I asked my friends from Room to Move to give the audition. Russell did the jazz. Michelle Zeitlin did ballet. And Michelle Zeitlin was a teacher at Room to Move. She started my children's classes there.
I didn't know that. I went to school with her. We were in the same.
When she was 14 years old, she lied to me about her age. And she started a children's department at my dance studio, and she was amazing. So she did ballet, Russell did jazz, and I hired this guy named Gene Castle to do tap because you had to tap then.
Okay.
So I showed up at the studio, and 300 dancers showed up.
Wow. From one little ad.
And they were all really good, most of them. So I don't remember the exact specifics, but that was the start. I had like, out of the 300 dancers, I probably signed 200 of them. And
That's
it was just
huge. Right out the gate, 200 clients.
Out of the gate, but big deal. So you sign them. How are you going to get them work? I mean, come on.
Yeah, what's the next step?
So they're on a roster. Their names are there. Their phone numbers are there. I had to learn a little bit about being an agent. So I spent one day in the agency's office just to listen to them talk on the phone and hear what they were doing. And I just went, I can do this. And I just knew it was the right thing for me because it's in my blood. And it turned out to be in my blood. I didn't know my uncle was an agent at William Morris when he was young.
What?
Yeah, I didn't even know that. And then
and they were a premier agency way back then as well, because they've been around ever.
And then I also, my father had been in show business as a press agent for big studios. They called them press agents then, not publicists. He opened up big movies. I have all these pictures of him with all these movie stars from back in the day. Anyway, I just started calling casting directors and introducing myself as the person with dancers. Next time you need dancers for commercials or anything, call me. I started calling people, and some people hung up on me and some people were interested, you know? And because I was with such a big agency, a really important commercial talent agency, they helped me out a lot. They wrote a letter to people introducing me, and they were really terrific. They did help me out. I had all these dancers, and this one woman loved what I was doing. She came in and volunteered to be my assistant for free. She didn't last long. So I needed someone to help me. So I called one of my teachers from my dance studio, who's still one of my best friends, Victoria Morris. You know her, Menina.
I love that.
She was a new mother with 2 young children. I said, "You got to come in and be my assistant." And so she did. And she really helped me build a company. So it took me a couple of months. The most difficult thing was calling choreographers and asking them if they would call me before an audition. And so many of them were threatened by what I was doing. And some of them were receptive and some of them were threatened. Yeah. Whenever you shake up the status quo, people are threatened. That's just the way it is.
Because there's something new.
There was a way of people working then where the choreographers, if they were doing a job, they would just call all their friends. Their assistant would call all their friends. And every now and then, their assistant would say, "Can I bring in a friend?" And that's how new people would get into a job. It was really difficult because choreographers most of them just wanted to work with all the people they'd always worked with. And you understand that because choreographers get used to working with the same people, and it makes things very much easier for them to work with their people, of course. But it was not easy to break through. And the first breakthrough I got was Kenny Ortega's had a casting director named Greg Smith. And I just begged him to let me send dancers to this music video they were doing called Physical with Olivia Newton-John. And he said, okay, you can send me people. So I sent him people and he loved them. And he booked some of them. I'll tell you, one thing I do have is I have good taste in dancers. I know good dancers when the minute they walk in the room, not all the time, but I know them within 5 minutes. Even if they're not great dancers, I know if they're going to have a commercial appeal or not. I just know. So that was a really fun thing. I booked one dancer on a Coca-Cola commercial, and that was a really fun thing. And then Jeffrey Hornaday, who is, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie Flashdance.
Oh, yes.
Who's seen Flashdance? Okay. One person. Did you like it? Yeah, that was a seminal movie at that time. That was like the movie. So you guys go watch. I'm going to tell you to watch a lot of things on this thing. You have to know your history, your dancers.
Yes.
You have to watch Flashdance. Write it down. Come on. Take notes. Flashdance.
You want to go down the list of all the classics that they need to watch?
and to be honest with you, whoever was doing Flashdance at the time stole their fashion from my dancers at Room to Move. We were the first persons to cut off our sweatshirts and to wear big warmers. Yeah.
Oh, dancers, you guys all have to know the off the shoulder with the leg warmers, and that was the look. I mean, it's still actually that look came back though, I feel like.
I think so. So Jeffrey Hornaday was a very lovely and really receptive person to me, and where so many people weren't. And so he was casting something called Captain EO. It was a Michael Jackson, Michael Jackson project, Captain EO. And anyway, so I sent him people, and over half the people he booked were my clients. So I knew I was on the right track. And things just started to snowball. And it was so much fun. It just started to snowball. I started to book dancers, not on everything. And it was not easy. I mean, to get people to actually think, oh, we're going to call an agent for dancers. That's not how we do it. We do it another way. But when a few people are receptive, then that's all you need is a few fans, a few supporters, a few people who believe in what you're doing. And even if the rest don't, if a few people believe in you, then that was something to hang my hat on. And I kind of felt like not only was I on the right track, I was starting to have fun. And I'm a person who wants to have fun above everything else in life. I want to enjoy life. So
about you. I don't think I knew that about you. I always knew.
Well, I don't think very many people do, because I think they think I'm very serious. But anyway, so it started to be a fun job. And I'm saying the whole thing was fun all the time. It was brutal, and it felt things were just rocky and up and down like life. Everything was like, but I knew I was doing the right thing. I knew I was on the right path for myself and for the dancers. Well, that's how I started. So that would be the beginning. I stayed at that one agency for 15 years.
Oh, wow.
They were wonderful to me. The deal I made was very lucrative for me. 50% of everything I made, they started to try to recut my deal many times. And I said, no, I'm very happy with 50%. And I paid my mom back first thing. And I stayed there for 15 years until Tony Selznick, my partner, he came to my dance studio when he was 14 years old. So I've known a lot of people for a very long time.
Oh, wow.
He was
your client first. That's fun.
And then he was my client at the agency for a long time. And then I needed an assistant. This is after I had many people. This was after in the agency, we kept growing. So I had Victoria was my first assistant, but then we had a lot of different people. We brought in, not as assistants, but we had to have someone specializing in commercials. We had to have someone specializing in film and television. We had to have someone specializing in music videos. We had to have someone. So we kept growing what we were doing. And it was really exciting. My first competition came in 1987, only 2 years after I was an agent. And I was actually grateful for that because it validated what I was doing. Yeah. Even though I lost half my client list to the new agent because everyone had wanted to try a new thing, it still validated what I was doing. And I saw that an industry was growing, and I was happy about it. And the only thing that I asked her to do was don't undercut the work I've done, because I started to establish rates for dancers. And so when the competition came in, we were pretty brutal competitors. We were, but we did work together in terms of rates for dancers and things like that. And then I had many competitors come in, one after another, and every single one was a challenge. So it wasn't always fun.
Well, and now it's like popcorn. There's agents, all over the country. When we didn't, you were the only option at one point. Then there was 2, and then there was 3. And then even my generation, from when I moved to LA in 2001, I felt like there was only 3. And then there was another that popped up, and another.
There's basically in LA 5 viable agencies, 4 or 5.
Or specific to dance. Yeah.
Yeah, specific to dance.
Yeah, amazing. So how did MSA form? Because I know that you and Tony knew each other from the KSA days. And what sparked that?
He was my client, and he came in and worked as my assistant. He hated being an assistant. He hated being an assistant. And he's the one who said to me, why don't we go out on our own? And I said, honestly, I don't know how we would do it. It's so busy. How do you do that? How do you just move? I mean, felt really overwhelming and daunting. And we were so busy, and we were doing really well. And I was not unhappy where I was, but he wanted to be partners, and he wanted to move. So he brought in somebody who helped us find a space, and we just moved in 2000. He wanted to be my equal partner. So we became 50-50 partners, and we didn't even move with dancers. We only moved
choreography, right?
Choreographers. By the way, I didn't open up my agency with choreographers. That took a few years to start that part of it.
Amazing.
Or maybe a year. Anyway, so we only opened up with choreographers and directors, and then realized that was a mistake. But I couldn't just open up a dance department without the right people running it. And I know that it's all about the people who are running your business. It's not about anything else. If you have the wrong people running your business, it's just not going to work. And I'm so particular. So we had 2 people, Terry Lindholm and Lisa Coppola, come and ask if they could open the dance department there. And I thought they were the right people. Terry had been my client for 15 years.
Amazing. And that's when I came in shortly after.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, 2003.
So we moved. That's how we did it. We just moved. We just opened our doors and started.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Now, and you just celebrated your 25th. So happy 25th.
Yes, just the 25th. We had an amazing celebration for about 40 for our entire staff from New York. We have a New York office, by the way. Yes. So our New York office came out, our LA office, and about 25 of our legacy clients, and young and old.
I love that. I would love for you to share some of the names of the people that were your first clients, that maybe these kids know who they are, and then maybe that you still even represent. I think, is Kenny Ortega one of them?
It wasn't one of my first, but he's been with me for 25 years. So okay. Paula Abdul was my first client, was one of my first clients.
Love her.
Yeah. We started around the same time, and I did all of her choreography deals and all her music video deals and her film deals. I represented her until she became a singing star, and then I don't do that. So I was not part of her team for that, unfortunately.
Yeah, she iconic.
She blew up.
She totally did. She totally did, and she's a big reason why I dance. She was my very first concert at 12.
Wow,
her dancing totally inspired me. And
we're still really good friends. We still hang out. We have dogs from the same litter. She has the sister. I have the brother. If at the end of this you want to meet my Mookie, I'll introduce you. Anyway,
that's incredible.
So it's Kenny and Paula, and I mean, in the beginning, Jeffrey Hornaday. Even he wasn't at the very beginning, but some of the big names that we've represented over the years. I mean, we have like 20 Emmy Award winners. Marguerite Derricks, who just won an Emmy for Etoile. Did you guys see Etoile?
Yeah, Etoile.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Another one you got to watch.
Etoile on Amazon. It's an entire series based in the New York City Ballet and the Paris Opera Ballet. It's incredible. She just won an Emmy for it.
I saw that. I saw that.
Jamie King. Do you know who Jamie King is? Anybody?
Well,
No.
these kids might not know because he's not on social media.
He does no social media, none
He is
whatsoever.
one of the few.
But you're looking it up. Jamie King has been Madonna's director for the past 25 years.
He's worked with everybody: Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, Ricky Martin. I worked with him on the Reigns tour, K-pop star. I don't know how he does that and still stays working because, as you know, the industry's changed. Everybody's online and social media.
The industry's changed tremendously. Yeah, he doesn't do any social media. This doesn't like it. He never wants to be the guy up front. He's the guy in the background, and he's always stuck with that. I'm not the star. I don't need that. I don't. Did you guys watch the VMAs? Did you see the performances of the VMAs? Who watched the VMAs? Raise your hands.
Okay, so they did.
Okay, so quite a few of you. Good. So he did Ricky Martin's performance, which I thought was the best thing on the show. He was the creative director for Ricky Martin. We had the creative director for J Balvin on that show. What else did we have on that show? Anyway, so those are our biggest clients: Jamie King, Marguerite Derricks, Kenny Ortega. We represent a lot of really young people you may know. Do you know Jungle? Those videos, Jungle? The guy named Shay. Anyway, these amazing choreographers from the Netherlands, Shay and Sergio Reese, they do a lot of incredible stuff. Marty Kudelka. Do you know Marty Kudelka? He's Justin Timberlake's choreographer. Has been Justin Timberlake's choreographer for ever. From the beginning, which is, I love that loyalty. I just love that loyalty that certain people like Madonna has to Jamie. Even before Jamie, we represented all the choreographers for Madonna. For some reason, we have the same taste, Madonna and me. Vincent Patterson, who did a lot of stuff with Michael Jackson.
And Madonna.
In fact, he did my favorite things with Michael Jackson. Do you know the Smooth Criminal video?
Yeah. That famous lean that everybody
That's my favorite. I think that might be my favorite video of all time. It's definitely in the top 5. He did that. Vincent Patterson. They did all the early Madonna stuff, Express Yourself and Vogue and all those amazing early videos with Madonna.
Yeah, you represent a lot of people. Today, what is MSA? So we've got offices in LA, we have offices in New York. What departments do we have? How many clients do you represent? I mean, you've obviously started out as a baby and then just now, what is MSA today?
Well, we have what we call our creative department, which is where I work, me and Tony, and 2 other people, Alyssa and Courtney, and we represent the choreographers and directors for everything, for film. Well, we don't represent film and television directors, but we represent creative directors for all live entertainment, like everything from all Las Vegas spectacles to music tours and things like that. So we represent a lot of creative directors and choreographers. Our department does that. Then we have the talent department. We stopped calling it the dance department because we represent multifaceted performers that are not just dancers. So we have the talent department, and we have 5 agents and 5 people working in that department. And I do not know how many people they have on their client list. I'm sorry, I don't, but probably at least 500 to 700 dancers, I would say. So we have the creative department, the talent department, then we have a educational division, which I just love. And that's run by one person. She books teachers on conventions, and she books teachers on master classes all over the country and actually internationally. And she starting to book teachers in colleges. I love that department because we're big proponents of education, the proper dance education. We have a theatrical division. We have one guy who's working on actors only for film and television. And that's a very challenging. We've not had any success with that yet, but we believe in this guy, and he is starting to book people as actors. So those are departments, and then we have an accounting department. And New York has a smaller office, and they primarily concentrate on Broadway dancers and actors and choreographers. And we have a children's division there. We don't really have a formal children's department in LA, but we have one of our agents take care of our young people. The name of our kids are MSA cats.
Yes. Where did the
MSA
cat's name?
KATS.
Where did the cats come from? I'm just
I don't know.
curious.
I don't know. I had nothing to do with that name, but I
Yeah,
really like it.
because we have a few kids that are MSA cats. I'm like, what does cats mean? It's like little kittens or
I don't know. I think it's cute. So I didn't think of it.
I love that. Well, I know I could talk to you all day. You've got so many stories that, gosh, I would love to dive into. And I know these dancers are eager to talk to you as well. All right. So, Mathieu.
Did you have any doubts when you were starting out making the agency or at any point in your career? Is this going to be worth it or is this ever going to succeed?
All the time. All the time. I had doubts a lot. It's not always an easy road, even though things went really well for me. And I'm really grateful for that. But all sorts of things happened that made me, I wouldn't say doubts so much as I was very committed and I knew that I was doing the right thing. But I had a lot of obstacles. The biggest obstacle for me was when you have a client that you truly love leave to go to another agency. People think that we as agents don't have feelings. And can be very, and I'm a sort of a sensitive person. And that was always hard for me to recover from. If it was somebody I deeply cared about, someone whose career I helped build, because I could never take full credit because the credit is mostly to the talent and their talent. But those are the kind of things that never made me doubt what I was doing, but made me have great, I would say, moments of, is it worth it? Maybe sometimes, is this worth doing? Because you guys we all know what it's like to feel hurt by someone who rejects you, right? So it was a profound feeling of rejection. So those are, I would say, my doubts came in that form.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you, Mathieu, for your question.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Stephanie. Introduce yourself. What is your question?
Hi, I'm Stephanie. Fun fact, you actually currently represent my sister. She's in the New York office, but she's actually doing West Side Story with the LA Opera at this moment. But my question is, with the LA office, what was like your biggest achievement as an agent? I know you said you had like a top 5, but I would love to know what your like top 1 would be.
Well, first of all, I saw the dress rehearsal of the West Side Story performance on Thursday night.
Oh, really?
You know who's a very good friend of mine? You're going to like this story. Did anybody see the original version of West Side Story?
Yes. Yes, I did. I don't know.
It's probably the greatest film musical ever. So please get the 1961 version of West Side Story. It'll blow your mind. So George Chakiris, who won an Oscar for playing Bernardo, he's 93 and he's a good friend of mine. And he sat on a panel for school children in LA. And after that panel, over 100 people lined up to get his autograph. Anyway, I saw your sister perform, so tell her I thought she was wonderful.
I will.
Yeah. The number 1, well, it's kind of difficult. I probably should have put some forethought into what the number 1 thing is, but I think that just on a general umbrella would be to create more visibility for the art and craft of commercial dance in general. I think dancers have a higher level of respect now than they ever did. Now, that is not my sole achievement. Believe me, I do not take credit for anything like that solely, ever. There's always a team of people. There's always so many people that make that happen. But I feel that since I've been an agent, things have been progressively getting better in that respect of creating more respect, higher visibility, and more respect, and for just the craft of commercial dance and commercial dancers.
I love that. Thank you so much, Stephanie.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, we have Serena.
Hi, my name is Serena Wright. I'm 18 years old from a small town in Texas. And you have been amazing and you've helped create a blueprint for how dancers are represented in agencies. And that's such a wonderful thing to have. What's one thing that you hope the next generation of dancers will demand for themselves that your generation had no choice in, like that they couldn't demand?
Well, that's a really good question. And I'm not sure I have the right answer, if there's a right answer, but because of your access to social media, because of social media, which is just changed everything. And, you have to be on it as a performer. You really do have to. I think that the thing that I love about dancers now is that they have the ability to be way more than dancers. You're all filmmakers, you're filmmakers, and so you have this opportunity to do so much more than dance. I mean, you may discover that you love filmmaking, or if you are creating your own videos, let's say, if you're creating your own content, you learn so much about like lighting and production design and things like that. So what I think is because you have so much technology at your fingertips that you just have more opportunity than dancers of prior generations had, where they kind of had a path to follow, right? You could go from dancer, and if you were lucky, you maybe be an actor, or you maybe would be a choreographer. But I think because of technology, and you may even discover that dance isn't your thing. But whatever you do, you have to use social media for positive benefit, and you cannot fall into the negative aspects of what social media has become for so many. And but I just feel that you have more opportunity because of it.
Agreed.
Thank you so much.
All right, next up we have Miss Michaela. Introduce yourself and what is your question?
Hi, I'm Michaela. I'm 11 years old. I'm originally from New York, but now I live in South Carolina. And you mentioned your talent, that you can notice a dancer is going to be great right when they walk in the room. How do you notice that?
Well, okay, there may have been a little bit of an exaggeration, but I do start watching from when they want to walk in a room. A, are they on time? B, how do they walk? C, what do they do with their dance bag? Where do they put it? D, do they start talking to their friends, or they go into the center of the room and start to stretch out and start to focus in on the audition?
I love that.
It's
So
called
cool.
being professional.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And E, do they put their cell phones away?
Yeah.
Number one. You are so adorable. I'm telling you, I've been watching you the whole time. You've got such a great smile.
Oh,
Thank you.
thank you so much, Michaela. All right, next up we have Carolyn. Introduce yourself and what is your question?
Hi, I'm Carolyn. I'm 22 and I'm from California. Thank you for your time, first of all. I'm actually an aspiring dancer with a specific goal of building a career like internationally. I understand that MSA is like a US-based agency, but I'm curious if like MSA or other talent agencies help dancers find opportunities or obtain work internationally.
No, and I'll tell you why. It's too difficult. If you are shooting in another country, they're going to use local people. Very rarely do they bring. Now, if an artist, let's say it's an artist, a music artist, they may insist on bring. No, all music artists travel with their own dancers. They don't hire internationally. But if you're doing a film or television or anything else, they're going to use local dancers. First of all, it's always about the visa issues. It's about, you have to have a working visa. And now things, because of our immigration situation in this country and in other countries, it's even more difficult to get visas to work in other countries. If you have a dual citizenship, like a lot of people do, I don't know if Canada and the US, you're lucky, good for you. You can work in Canada, and there's a lot of work in Methian. There's a lot of work in Canada for US dancers. There's so many things film in Canada. But otherwise, no, we don't really do that. If you're interested in company work, like being in a company, if you're interested in commercial work, no, if you're interested in company work, you would go to Europe and you would start auditioning for these companies. And if they want you, they will help you with your visas. They will provide you with visas.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
Thank you
so much, Caroline. Next up, we have Marissa.
Hi, my name is Marissa Priner. I am 15 years old and I am from Victoria, BC, Canada. My question for you is, how do I make a good impression and build a relationship with a dance agent?
Okay. Well, now you live in Canada. I know there are dance agents there, right? Have you applied to one of the agencies there?
I have not yet.
Okay, well, first of all, you just need to find out who the agencies are. Make sure they're not some fly-by-night organization. Look them up, make sure they're legit. It's different in Canada than it is here. And then you have to probably go to their website and find out what their submission process is, because most agencies have the same submission process, is that they're going to want you to send in a picture, a resume. Even if there's nothing on the resume, they're going to see, where you've studied, who you've studied with, like your special skills, if you have any. And by the way, when you're writing to an agent, you just write a short paragraph. Hi, my name is Marissa Pryor. I'm interested in representation. I'm 18 years old and I just graduated and here's my non-existent resume, but it lists everything where I've studied, who I've studied with, and they're either going to call you in for an audition, and you may want to send links of yourself dancing to them. Don't spend money on pictures. Send a regular silly headshot from your own camera. Don't spend money on pictures, because if you get signed, they're going to send you to a professional photographer and you'll spend your money that way. Just send in pictures of yourself looking your age. Don't wear too much makeup, girls. You're too young. And look natural. But you have to do your research. Start looking to see who's there and start submitting.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Marissa. Next up, we have Genesis. Introduce yourself and what is your question?
Hi, my name is Genesis. I'm 9 years old. And my question for you is, what qualities make a young dancer stand out to agencies like yours?
For children dancers, same thing. You have to send in a picture, and you won't really have a resume, but you have to go research the agencies and there might be specialized kid agencies, or some of the dance agencies will have children's departments. So you have to do the same thing. You just have to start finding out who represents kids. And maybe you just don't have to have a dance agent. You can have a commercial agent and see what's available to you. But you mostly have to have your mom or your dad help you research who represents kids. Okay. And you just start there and you start sending in your picture, a short little letter, maybe a video of you dancing. But you may want to just also think about commercial agents, because commercial agencies are always looking for kids.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Genesis, for your question.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Brayden. Introduce yourself and what is your question?
Hi, I'm Brayden. I'm from Dallas, Texas. My question was, I know that the industry has changed a lot since you started. Do you have any advice for someone who is looking to be an agent or find work within an agency?
Yeah. So few people ever ask that question. I'm always so gratified that someone might want to be an agent. Well, you have to look up all your talent agencies and do the same thing. You have to find out the same thing. It's research, and see the kind of agency you'd like to work for. I mean, honestly, and they actually see if they're hiring interns for the summer so you can do an internship. And once you do an internship, we've hired people who started as interns because they were so impressive. So you just have to do the same thing. Where are you from, Brayden?
From Texas.
From Texas. So I don't even know what the showbiz landscape is there, but I'm sure there's stuff there. I know that there's filming there. I don't know exactly the situation, but start doing your research, talent agencies, and start writing to all of them. I'm interested in interning with your company. I'm interested in a job with your company, and tell them what you want to do. I'm interested in becoming an agent. Ask them, how do I start with your company? Does that make sense?
Yes. Thank you so much.
Would love to know how that goes for you.
And Julie, I love that you keep saying research. I literally just did a training for them just this week on how to use ChatGPT to actually do that research and actually locate the agencies within their local areas and departments. And
you guys are so lucky.
We don't even have to use Google anymore. We got ChatGPT. It can auto-populate all that stuff. And
you're so lucky you have these resources at your fingertips. We had nothing.
Skylar, you are up next.
I'm Skylar. I'm 13 years old and I'm from Sarasota, Florida. So I would love to be signed with MSA someday, hopefully soon. So what's your number one recommendation that I could in a way that I could stand out to MSA or any agent?
Oh my goodness. Well, I don't have an answer to that. A specific answer. You know how to reach MSA, right? If you go on our website, it shows you exactly how you're supposed to submit. Well, you have to be the best Skylar you can when you walk in the room. You have to just put on, how do you stand out? You stand out by not trying to be like anybody else. Just be yourself. It's really difficult not to be nervous. So I could never tell you not to be nervous because it's impossible to tell people not to be nervous. So you're nervous, but you still have to do it anyway, right? You just go on and just be who you are at this age. We don't all know who we are at this age, but you'll be exactly who you are on that day. If you have confidence in your dance and your performance ability, hopefully that will shine through.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Skylar, for your question.
Thank you.
And
You're
next up,
welcome.
we have our other Michaela Moy.
Hi, I'm Michaela Moy. I'm 16 and I live in Virginia. My question is, if you could give someone one tip to succeed, what would it be?
This may sound like a funny answer, but you have to learn how to fail. It's probably your biggest lesson that you could ever have in your life is literally learning how to fail. That is the only thing that propels you forward. Because especially being a performer, you have so much rejection in this business that you need to take failure as part of your path to success.
Success is really just a series of failures and never quitting. And that's just the reality. Fail forward, fail fast.
I don't want that to be discouraging, but you just have to learn how to do it because it's your biggest lesson is in failure. Because then you go, well, what can I do to make myself better in this position, right? If you don't ever fail, you don't, well, then you're a career human being.
I don't think that exists. I don't think success exists without failure. They go together.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Michaela. Next up, we have McKenna.
Hi, I'm McKenna Fucci. I'm 13 years old and I'm from Jackson, New Jersey. And my question for you is, what's the best way to audition for your agency? Do a dance competition, an open call audition, or do the best way?
Well, our agents do go to many dance competitions and scout. I don't know who goes when and what competitions they go to, but it is a big part of what they do. But mostly you have to go to our website. They've got instructions for submitting to the agency. And if to follow the instructions, if for some reason the websites you don't understand, pick up the phone and call them. They will help you. Okay, but you just have to submit through the instructions on the website. I hope they're current. I'm sure that they are. Also, when you go to these competitions, you should ask whomever is in charge of that competition, are there any agents here today? Mm-hmm. And that is a really smart thing to do. Then you can know who's there, what agency they're from, and you can figure out a way to introduce yourself to them. They'll be receptive to that. I don't think anybody really does that. So there you go. There's an inside tip.
There you go. Introduce yourself. Thank you.
Introduce yourself. Yeah.
Francesca, you are next.
Hi, my name is Francesca Flores. I'm 17 years old and I'm from Pennsylvania. My question is, what's the biggest difference you see between dancers who book jobs and those who don't, even when they're both signed to the same agency? Who has the most longevity too?
Well, the agency, who you're signed to doesn't make a difference. Mm-hmm. That does not make a difference at all. Choreographers don't really care who you're signed to, unless it's a closed call for one agency. And that's not a good thing. That doesn't happen often. It used to happen more. But the question is, how come someone gets a job and how come someone doesn't?
What qualities do you see in dancers who...
That's a really tricky one. I have had people come up to me and say, I danced circles around this person and they got the job and I didn't. And, it is really, truly a matter of, sometimes it's not a matter of your technique at all. It's a matter of how you're showing up in the room and your personality and how you've presented yourself. we've signed people that aren't even great dancers, but we think that they have some kind of an it factor, some kind of a factor that might make them good in commercials, say, and maybe they're not going to book all the best dance jobs, but they're going to book, maybe they'll do cruise ships, which have become big business all of a sudden. Maybe they'll do, maybe they're right for music video look and they're not that great of dancer, but they've got another quality. By the way, every choreographer chooses different people. There are those dancers that everybody wants to work with too. Those are those A-list stars. Not everybody's there. There's probably about maybe 20 or 30 people in all of LA that I would say. What do you say, Menina?
That work all the time that everybody wants. I think it goes in waves though, too. I feel like there's a time, an era for each group of dancers, and then there's the next wave of hot dancers and the next wave.
It's very competitive, so you have to find something that makes you stand out.
Yeah, that
Okay.
it factor.
Thank you
so much, Francesca. Next up, we have Sydney.
Hi, my name is Sydney Beto. I'm 17 and I'm from El Paso, Texas. My question is, through all of the hard times and everything you went through, what were the things that kept you going and pushing through?
That's a really good question, because there was one time when I was just so down, but I just decided, I'm just going to do what I do. I'm going to stay at my desk. I'm going to do my job. I'm just going to just keep doing what I do. And it comes back around. So, I'll just be honest with you. There was this one year where I lost 4 huge clients all at the same time. And I was so devastated. And I just showed up every day, did my job. And by the way, half of those people came back. But I just said, I'm just going to do what I do. It wasn't fun every day. But, you just have these valleys, these peaks and valleys in life, and phew, it's like a roller coaster ride. But I just decided I just come to work every day, sit at my desk, and I do my work.
I love that.
Basic as that.
Thank you so much, Sydney. And last question is Elsie. Introduce yourself and what is your question?
Hi, I'm Elsie Johnson. I am 18 years old and I live in Des Moines, Iowa. I was wondering, because of my location, would there be a point in submitting to an agency right now, or should I wait until I'm in a better location?
What are your goals? Do you want to move?
Yes, after I graduate high school.
And you want to move to New York, LA? Where do you want to move?
I'm planning on Vegas right now.
And why Vegas?
There's a really good school there that I have a scholarship for, and I'm really inspired by like the Cirque du Soleil work and stuff like that.
Okay. Well, Vegas is close to LA, so that's good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. And by the way, there are a ton of auditions. Well, Vegas is suffering right now for many reasons, but it will pick up again, it's like that. But there's a lot of auditions there for Cirque and things like that. Are you going to move right after high school?
Yes.
And did you want to submit to all the LA agencies?
Yeah, or anyone's in Vegas as well.
Okay. I don't even know if there are agencies in Las Vegas. I don't think that there are really, but that's okay. You should submit to LA office, all LA agencies. You're not far. And I don't think you should necessarily tell them you're planning to move. And it doesn't matter. Vegas is an hour trip, that you're planning to move to Las Vegas, that you want to work in Las Vegas, because there are opportunities in Las Vegas that the agencies submit on. I think you should start now. When do you graduate?
I will be graduating in May 2026.
I think you should wait till beginning of next year and just say you're planning your future and submit to all the different agencies. You're moving to Las Vegas. Tell them what you want to do. You want to work there, but you're also willing to get on a plane and work in LA. And you should start then.
Thank you. Got it.
Well, thank you so much, Elsie. Before we let you go, Julie, do you have any final words of advice or anything that you want to share that you did not get a chance to share?
I think we had a really good time. And I think that you learned a lot about me, and I didn't learn enough about you, but I see your beautiful faces and the fact that you're on this group chat means that you're really interested in learning. So I am a very firm believer in knowing your dance history. So I think it would be inspiring for you to watch some of these iconic dance films. You have to watch the 1961 version of West Side Story, which is the most decorated musical of all time. Flashdance for fun, and because it changed a lot. And Menina can guide you on other dance films that she thinks you should watch. I think it inspires people to be better dancers. And yeah, I just love the history. And I think that dancers don't really do that now. In fact, they've really never known their history. But if you should know who Bob Fosse is, you should know who Jerome Robbins is. You should know these people, and also the choreographers from the early days of music videos, since you probably are into music videos, I would imagine. Like Paula, most of you knew who she was. There are such great people who were at the beginning of this industry. And so it's fun. It's a fun little journey.
I absolutely love that. Well, Julie, it's been an honor and a pleasure having you. You are a wealth of knowledge, and I feel like we haven't even touched the surface of what we could pick at your brain and all the information and all the stories that we could touch on. But it really was a gift to have you on and to share your story, which I don't think a lot of people know about, which I'm glad that you were able to share that with us. Yeah, show Julie how we do it. Give her some virtual love. We really, really, really appreciate you. Thank you, dancers. Thank you, Julie.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you, Julie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that concludes another episode of the Business of Dance podcast.
We hope you found today's conversation insightful and gained valuable knowledge.
Be sure to join us next time for more inspiring interviews with top professionals in the dance industry.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to The Business of Dance on your favorite platform and take a moment to leave a review. Your feedback is greatly appreciated.
This podcast is brought to you by the Business of Dance online mentorship program to help aspiring professional dancers create their dream dance careers.
Thank you for listening. Until next time.